I just want to briefly comment on the shooting that took place in Colorado. It's interesting that when you look at these images in the media and you see Caucasians crying and bereaving over their loved ones that were gunned down in a school or in a movie theater, they're feeling the same thing that Black Americans feel when their children are gunned down in the street or they're gunned down by police. It's easy to make comments about people that lose loved ones and justify the killing of someone else's loved one until it actually happens to you. Now, there's two types of criminals. There's the criminals in the Black community that we see hanging out on corners, drug dealers, gangbangers, and what the media shows. The media is always quick to point the camera in the Black community. And you have white people that always comment and point fingers at those people. But then there's the criminal that no one really talks about. These are the criminals that's behind the homes, that's in the homes of lily white families that live in the suburbs. The children that grow up in homes where the father takes them hunting, target practice, and we see a lot of young white dudes that have videos on YouTube shooting and blowing things up for fun. We have a community on YouTube where they call gamers, and these are very violent games where they're actually shooting and blood is splattering all over the place. But those are criminals that people don't really talk about. Now, the parents may be legal to have firearms, but that child is in the home of the firearms, and that family is so laxed because everyone is used to pointing fingers at the Black community. But when tragedy comes, it's not a black or white issue. It has nothing to do with color. Now, it's unfortunate what happened in this school. And from what I've read, a transgender was the one that did it. A female that was changing into a dude or transforming into a dude. They had her picture, and I was going to do a video on that article, and I might still end up doing it so you can see the face of this female that was transitioning into a male. But tragedy has no color. It's neither black or white. And then you have the politicians that politicize the school shootings. Now, we always talk about the soft targets, and the politicians, because they have an agenda, they want you to vote them in the office, so they have to make you think that they're protecting you and trying to keep you safe from the bad gun owners. So they politicize and talk about banning guns and firearms, gun control. That's the first thing that politicians talk about, is gun control when mass shootings take place. But one thing they're not taking into account is that every single time there's a mass shooting, the target is soft. They're soft targets. They're places that ban firearms. They're places where the criminal don't have to worry about someone shooting back at them. So some of the most softest targets are schools, churches, which now we have churches that have armed security in them. But for the most part, churches, schools, movie theaters, those are soft targets because no one is expected to go up in these places with a gun because they put signs up to say no guns allowed. But does the criminal pay attention to that? See, this is what happens when you take the power away from citizens to protect themselves and their families. I blame gun control for this tragedy. Because while you're talking gun control and banning firearms and saying that no guns allowed in schools and post office and movie theaters, and you have these businesses that's banning firearms, no guns allowed. So that's a soft target for a criminal to come in and say, well, I don't have to worry about someone shooting back at me. All I have to do is just go in and start spraying up. Or telling everybody to get on the floor, and they have no other choice but to obey or get killed. Because they don't have to worry about retaliation. And if someone in these schools, like say the teachers, and see that's an argument that is a never-ending argument, because you're going to always have an opposing side to say what if. There's too many people that dwell in the what ifs. And because you remain in the what ifs and you keep confusion active, you never really come up with a solution. Because someone is always going to say, what if? Who's to say we can trust the teachers? It's not saying that every single teacher is going to be armed, because you have teachers that's afraid to even touch firearms. For whatever reason, there's people that don't like firearms. They respect it, but you cannot get them to pick up a firearm on the range and shoot it. My son's mother was the same way. She could not stand to look at one. She was afraid of it. She was terrified of it. Until I took her on the range and taught her and my sons how to shoot. I even tried to inspire her to apply for a pistol permit. Just in case something happens to me, the guns remain in the family. They will be on her permit. But I know enough not to push her into something that she really don't want to do, because it can always end up backfiring you somewhere in the future. You force something on someone, then they end up liking it, and then tragedy takes place because that person wasn't ready, because the person that's trying to push their agenda wasn't really listening. Just like we have with the so-called gun control and gun ban. Banning firearms and gun control does not make a situation better or safer. It does not make people safe. Banning guns does not make people any safer. It only enhances the danger, because now you have people that are open, that become soft targets and easy prey. If a woman is walking down the street, woman or man, walking down the street unarmed, and some thug come up to them with a knife and say, give it up, in terror, they're going to give up their belongings. And it's not even guaranteed that this person will let them walk away without injuring them or even taking their life, because they are a soft target. That's what happened when you take the rights away from people to protect themselves and their families. So this is unfortunate. It's sad. And we're living in a society where people are becoming numb to this. It happens so often. The only people that really feel sad in their hearts are the family members that's going through this. Because society has become so bloodthirsty. And again, like I mentioned in a prior video, this is, in my opinion, this is a part of the judgment that's upon America. You don't find this happening anywhere else but America. And it has nothing to do with gun control. It has nothing to do with mental issues or mental disorders. It has everything to do with judgment. Think of the number of babies that these females kill by abortion. All of these laws is being passed to snuff the life away from the innocent, the unborn, those that don't have a voice to speak outside of voices like mine, which people really don't listen. So now, the judgment of those children are now upon those that took the lives. And I made a video in the past about that, about how females that aborted their children are now dealing with the judgment of the kids, of the bloodshed of all of the children whose lives were lost by way of abortion. And not just abortion, but all of these bogus laws that's coming up now, these unrighteous, ungodly laws, scoffing and mocking God. And now judgment is upon America. And I don't care how much gun control you talk, I don't care how many firearms you ban, it's not going to stop the judgment of God. If the judgment don't come by way of you taking your own lives, guns, knives, vehicles, because there's people that would actually get inside their vehicles and run you down, just mow right through a crowd of people. America refused to acknowledge God. And anything righteous is under attack. So this is spiritual warfare that you declared upon the Most High. You declared war with the Most High. And I've said it in videos of the past, and I'll end in this. Your arms are too short to box with God. Feedback, tell me what you think. Till next time. I'm fearless.